What's up, family? Welcome back to another exciting episode of Yes Chef. I'm your host, as always, Big Chef Dro. So we're on this journey. We're getting our seasonal holiday menu together. And let's just state the obvious. I'm black. Come from a predominantly black family. It is what it is. Here's one thing I did not grow up eating for Thanksgiving. Green Bean Casserole. But I happen to like it. And I happen to have a great recipe for it. You want to see it? Here you go. Let's cook. All right, so first off, let me start off with the ingredients to this recipe. Of course, the star of the show is going to be the green beans. Now, these are fresh green beans. It's about 2.5 pounds of fresh green beans. And all I did was I took the tips of them off, and the longer ones I cut in half. The ones that are about this size, I just left them the way they were. I don't really like all of them being long. I just think it's a little bit better product to eat and deal with if they're all a nice, smaller size. Okay, so moving on with the liquid ingredients over here. So what I have is 2 cups of regular whole milk, and then I have 2 cups of heavy whipping cream, and that's what we're going to use to make. Usually people go and get the Campbell's cream of mushroom, condensed cream of mushroom out of the store. We're going to make our own cream of mushroom, and we're going to start with this as the liquid for the cream. Then we're going to have some Parmesan cheese off the block. I think this is the better way to do it, and you'll see what I'll do with this later. Next, we have some mushrooms, which I love a lot of mushroom. Put as less or as many as you like. I'm going to do 16 ounces, a whole pound of mushrooms. I'm not going to chop them up. I'm going to leave them the way I bought them. I bought the portobello mushrooms sliced, and that's the way I'm going to keep them. Here I have some fresh minced garlic, and this is about 1/3 cup of minced garlic. Again, with that, you can use as much as you want or as little as you want. And here we have some all-purpose flour. This is going to be used as a thickening agent with our cream of mushroom. And then I just have some regular granulated garlic here to go along in there for some taste and some seasoning, and just some kosher salt. This is the coarse kosher salt that I'm going to be using, and the kosher salt's a little less salty. I also use the kosher salt to salt the water that I'm going to be boiling the green beans in. So that water is actually being boiled right now, coming up to a boil right now. I have some regular black pepper here that I'm going to add to it. Again, as much as you want or as less as you want. And here I have a whole stick of butter that is also going to go into the cream of mushroom, and then some onions. And what I did was I just took a whole onion, cut it in half, and I only used half of the onion. And I kind of cut it in half, and then I sliced it. So we don't have really long slices, but I think the sliced ones are the better way to go. But they're not, the whole onion is not sliced. The whole half of the onion is not sliced. It's actually chopped in half and then sliced the long way. Okay, so these are the ingredients. So let's go ahead and get to getting these green beans in the boiling water. All right, family. So we're back. The water's boiling. Let's go ahead and just drop these off in there. Now I'm going to let these boil until they get a nice firmness to them. I don't want to overcook them because I am going to put them into the oven for a while. So I'm going to probably let them, get boil in this water for about 20 minutes. Or, if it was on this gas, it would not take that long. But I'm going to transfer these over to my stove because I have a lot of prepping to do for some other things that I'm doing, but it'll probably take about 20 minutes. I'm going to keep it on high, let it boil. I'll taste it for tenderness, but I really want it to be not overcooked, but just a little bite to it. Okay, so we'll be back. Of course, I'll time this to let you know exactly how long it took me. Okay. All right, family. So let's get into this sauce. I have the green beans on my stove, and they are starting to cook. So I'm gonna go ahead and start off. I'm gonna use some truffle oil on this, just for some flavor purposes in this green bean casserole. So I'm gonna use some of that. I'll throw in just a little bit of olive oil, and then we'll start cooking off our onions. So I'm going to put these onions into a coal pan, and I want them to kind of get there slowly, because I'm really not trying to overcook them. I just want to try to get a little more than a little sweat, more than a little translucent, because I still want to have a little bite to it. A green bean casserole, I think, should still have a little crunch or a little bite. Not too much, just a little bit. All right, so since it's going to take the mushrooms a little time to cook off, I'll go ahead and add these in there now. I've probably had these onions in here for about 3 to 4 minutes. Of course, it's going to cook a lot faster with this gas. If it was on your stove, it'll probably take a little bit longer. I'm almost positive that it would. So we'll just let these sit in here, and we're going to let these just sit in here for a while. I'll stir them occasionally, but I really want to get this mushroom flavor off into this sauce, so to speak. I don't want to cheat this sauce from that flavor of mushrooms. I want these mushrooms to extract that water, extract that moisture and that flavor into the onions as well. So we'll continue stirring, and we will let you know. We'll be back when we're almost ready to go to the next step. All right, family. So we are where we need to be. Everything has cooked down. As you can see, there's a lot of great mushroom juice in there. So it has extracted very well, and I'm comfortable with this. So now I'm going to go ahead and put in my garlic, my fresh chopped garlic. And the reason why, of course, I do it last is because garlic burns very fast. And when garlic burns, it's bitter. So there's no worse taste than burnt garlic other than burnt cheese. That's a horrible taste too. So we'll let that get off in there, and we'll stir this in until we can smell the garlic. And once you start smelling the garlic, the next step would be to start making the roux, which is very simple. All right. So I'm starting to smell that garlic come through. So I'm just going to go ahead and add my butter into here. That's a whole stick of butter cut up just to make it easier to melt, to speed along the process. Now, why am I putting butter in? One, for flavor, but to also add some more moisture to this, because again, I'm making a roux, and I'm going to make that by letting this melt off and then adding my flour. And I'm just going to go ahead and just put it all in there. No need to play with it and go back and forth. Just go ahead and pour it off in there. Get it off in there. Stir it around really good. Now, the trick is, number one, keep stirring. Don't stop stirring. The second trick is cook it long enough so that the flour taste can cook off of the flour. The longer it stays in here, the more that flour taste is going to cook off of it. Now, it may take a little bit longer because of the onions and the garlic and the mushrooms, but it will definitely do you a bit of good to continue stirring it for a while so you can get that flour taste out of it. You don't want your cream of mushroom tasting like cream of flour. All right, as you can see, it's starting to brown up a little bit. That's the first indication that the flour is cooking and that the taste is cooking out of it. It's the same way with the gravy. If you're doing a gravy like this, you want that gravy to get a lot darker than it is when you start it off. That means that the flour is cooking, and that also means that the flavor of flour is cooking out of it. So we'll go in with the milk, and there is a lot of goodness on the bottom that will come up as soon as you start adding your liquid ingredients. And I'm going to go ahead and turn it down at this point, which is what you want to do. And then I'll add the heavy whipping cream in there as well. All right, and what's going to happen is with the flour, it's going to thicken up, and it'll thicken up with the heavy whipping cream too. But what you want to do is you want to scrape the bottom of your pot. Okay, turn it down as you're adding your liquids in here, and then you just want to scrape the bottom. And as a cook, you should have a feel of what a smooth bottom feels like. Okay, so I'm feeling a little bit of goodness on the bottom that I'm bringing up out of there, as you can see on that spoon. But I'm getting it up off the bottom. Now, with this, get it down low. Get it down to a nice low, because you don't want to rush this. This is dairy, so you got milk and heavy whipping cream in there. Man, this stuff will boil over on you, and you don't want that happening. Also, at this stage, you don't want to leave it. Please do not leave your cream of mushroom. It will start scorching at the bottom because, again, you're dealing with dairy. So my bottom is very smooth for the most part. Well, it is smooth. So I've gotten everything off the bottom. And we'll just sit here and stir it a little bit. Just keep stirring it until it gets to a nice consistency that we want. Once it starts boiling, it'll start thickening up really fast, okay? All right, so we're starting to boil. I did turn it up just a little bit. I took it off of low and kind of put it on like a medium low. And once it starts boiling, it's going to thicken up really, really good. How do you know you stuck the landing on your sauce? It sticks to the back of the spoon. So whenever you can put a spoon through there and that happens, you stuck it. All right, so what we're going to do now is I'm actually going to turn it back down a little bit more, and then I'm going to start adding some flavor. So I have the kosher salt, and you want to be careful, of course. Remember, you do have your green beans boiling in salt water as well. So you can always add more salt later down the road, even at the table when you serve it. You can even add salt then. You don't want to put too much in there because it's not going to be good for you. The pepper, of course, I'm going to put all of this pepper in there because I think a green bean casserole should have a nice amount of pepper in it. And from the looks of it, I may add a little bit more to it. Maybe not. I don't know. I'll taste it a little bit later on. And then we have our granulated garlic. Now, I know I have garlic in here, but I love the taste of garlic, and so I'm going to add some more. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and taste this and see if I need to add more salt or anything to it. Yes, I do. I need to add some salt. I taste everything else. I might even add a little bit of pepper to it. No, I do. I taste the pepper. No, I'm good on the pepper. Where I need it to be, it is nice and thick. Look at that. Folks, we just made homemade from scratch cream of mushroom for our green bean casserole. And this is what's going to set it apart from any other green bean casserole that you've ever tasted. All right, so I'm going to turn this off, set this to the side, and we'll go check on our green beans. The green beans are done, and on the stove, it took about 17 to 18 minutes to do. They're still nice, and I mean, they are perfect. I timed it out perfect. So about 17, 18, maybe 16 minutes, and you should have a perfect texture. So I'm going to drain this off, and then I'm going to put it in an ice bath to stop it from cooking. All right, folks, we're back. So I got the green beans cooled down, and I just want to show you they're not flimsy. Okay, they're not flimsy at all. They are not, going to be mushy. They're at the perfect consistency, and that's what you're looking for, folks. So I'm going to go ahead and just combine this into the pot with the cream of mushroom, and then we'll just go ahead and give this a stir. And I'm going to use some buttered flavored cooking spray. If you want to use some different types of oils, you can be more than happy to do that. Some butter. But I'm just doing that so it doesn't stick to the pan. And I'll just put this in there. And then I'm going to stick it into the oven. And I'll stick it in there at about 375 degrees. Once that's done, because I do want it to, I'm going to let it boil. I'm going to let it get to a nice boil. And then I'm going to take it out. I'm going to let it rest a little bit more. Then I'm going to add the Parmesan cheese. I'm going to freshly grate that Parmesan cheese on top of it. And then add some of the French's onions to it. Now, some people put it back in the oven to kind of cook the French's onions. They don't need it. They don't need it. You're basically done. You're just going to try to put it in there with everything together so everything can kind of marry together and let it thicken up around the green beans. Let it get off into the green beans with the heat. And then once you're done with that, you're basically done. You're just putting some cheese and some French's fried onion rings on top of it. So we'll be back once we're done, once we bring it back out of the oven, okay? All right, family, so we're back with the green bean casserole. Just took it out of the oven. So let me just say this. It took me about 40 minutes to get it to where I'm at now. I didn't want to turn it up to 400 or 425. I'm not trying to, overdo it. So I just kept it at 375, and it took me about 30 to 40 minutes for it to start to boil and to get to this point here. I'll go ahead and just use this here to spread the Parmesan cheese all around on top of this. And this is just going to make for a really, really, really good product. All right, so we have our French's crispy fried onions. I'm going to go ahead and finish it off with just a little bit more of the Parmesan, the grated Parmesan on top. Just a little bit more, just for color purposes. Then I'm going to just go ahead and just sprinkle a little bit of this dried parsley on top. All right, family, so I have taken me a little bit of this green bean casserole out. Got the corner piece. And I'm going to just go in real quick. Absolutely delicious. A lot of flavor. You just can't beat a good homemade green bean casserole from scratch. Folks, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. And as always, family, we're going to go ahead and get out of here. But before we go, peace. Thank you so much for watching this video. And don't forget, hit the like button. And if you want to be a part of the Yes Chef family, consider hitting the subscribe button. And don't forget, click the notification bell. And that way you'll stay up to date on all of our latest videos. Also consider becoming a member of my Patreon for up close and behind the scene content. And be sure to follow us on all of our social media platforms. Thank you.